Order, we have a presentation before we do our general meeting. We need the approval of the agenda, and if there's any conflict of interest, you can declare it. There's only one item here, and it's the presentation.
I believe, you mean the public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Oh, you said presentation. I was a bit confused
Yeah,
because
it's
of
the same-
public hearing.
Yeah, it's public hearing, yes. So we need approval of the agenda. All for?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, a presentation we'll have Anna do the presentation tonight.
So I thank you, Mr. Chair, through you, of course, and just want to make mention that these presentations are generally led by Rene Jedry, our Director of Protective Services. He is out of province, so I'm presenting on his behalf. We did have a conversation prior to his departure to confirm certain things. I do have a summary of the rezoning request. And the request has to go through public hearing, so we do have the opportunity for the public to make any comments prior to a decision being made. The application in question is to rezone 2 properties on Abbots Harbor Road in Middle West Pubnico from marine industrial to mixed use for residential purposes. So this is a downgrade of the zoning, not an upgrade. So it used to be marine industrial, now it is, they're seeking to downgrade that to residential because they want to use it for residential purposes. The properties are approximately 3.2 acres and 1.1 acres, both undeveloped, though one is used for temporary storage of fishing gear. Under the current marine industrial zoning, dwelling is not permitted as a primary use. The applicant wishes to build a single-unit dwelling, which is the reason why we are talking about this now. So the proposed mixed-use zone change would allow the dwelling on the main lot, permit use of the second lot for driveway access, and remain consistent with other uses in the rural center designation. This is not a new zoning. This is to bring that property back to mixed use, which is predominantly the zone in that area. The surrounding area is mostly marine industrial, but there is existing mixed-use zoning nearby, showing the compatibility with the area. It's very commonplace in Pubnico to see both very close to each other. Public notice requirements have been completed. You will have noted some advertising, some local advertising was done. Local area would have been notified of the change. We did not receive any concerns or submissions until probably 4 or 5 minutes ago. We did receive a question from a person who is actually storing fishing gear on that property and asked whether the change of zoning would have a negative impact on the storage of fishing gear. Having received the question just now, I can't guarantee that the fishing gear in question would be suitable for residential use, though I can say that many residential zones have the existence of fishing gear. They store fishing gear, traps, etc., on residential properties, the same as marine industrial use properties. If there is an issue with this gentleman around the use of that facility, it would probably be more around the change of ownership. Whereas, anything, whenever you have a piece of property and you're using it for a purpose, you always run the risk that if somebody buys that property that you're borrowing space on, that person may have a different opinion about whether or not that belongs there. I can't comment on whether the new owner would allow that or not, but I would say that the zoning change would not be the reason why that would cease to be. So that was the question that was asked, and to the best of my ability of answering. So other than that, we didn't receive any comment. That's a little unsurprising because it's not an increase of nuisance use, it's a decrease of potential nuisance use. And I say nuisance in a broad sense. Residential homes are generally quite benign in comparison to a commercial activity. So the next steps for council, you may approve the second reading of the rezoning in the new meeting once the meeting is opened. We're still in public hearing mode here. You may choose to refuse the land use bylaw amendment. In doing so, you must provide the reasons why the development does not necessarily carry out the intent of the MPS. that decision would be appealable to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board, so by an aggrieved party. In this case, the aggrieved party might be the person looking to change the zone. That would be a person aggrieved. So when we look at these things, we have to look at whether or not they're consistent with the MPS, the municipal planning strategy, or the land use bylaw. In this case, we've consulted WSP and can confirm that it is. The recommendation is that you do approve the amendment to the land use bylaw once we get into the meeting to rezone that subject property, and that the associated land use bylaw mapping be amended accordingly. So we'll have to amend the map. And that's probably it, unless there are any, there's nobody from the public with questions. If you have questions as council, it would be more appropriate to ask them during the course of the meeting. This part is for me to present and for public input.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So this would end the public presentation, and we can move to adjourn. Okay, so we will adjourn and go to the regular council meeting. And now we'll call that meeting to order. We have no regrets. There's an invitation to stand and move at any time you wish, if you want to stretch your legs. Number 3, approval of the agenda, and if there's any conflict of interest declarations or any additions to the agenda?
Yes.
Councillor Foster.
I would like to add an item, Mr. Chairman. New road construction in the Tuscan area.
New road construction, that would be under, for this, no. Under correspondence? 9C,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay, so we need a motion to approve as amended. Moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Surratt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, approval of minutes. Any additions or anything missing from the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved as presented. Staff report. We get this, I said the same thing every month. We have the staff report, which is the clerk report, department head report, and building permit report. There's an attachment for each one. I'm sure councilors have had a chance to look at them. Is there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 6, which is 7-day notice. There is none. We will already move to old business. Number 7, councilor extended leave of absence. There is suggested motion for Councilor LeBlanc. I'm sure you've read the attachment. There's a suggested motion to approve the request. What's council's wish?
Let's make that motion.
It is moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 8, for decision and discussion, second reading request, Abbott's Harbor. We've just gone through this. There's a suggested motion. I will read it. It says to approve second reading of the land use bylaw map amendment for the 2 properties located at Abbott's Harbor Road, Old Abbott's Harbor Road, PID number 900754882, and PID number 903267778, Middle West Pamlico, to rezone from marine industrial zone to mixed use zone as indicated in the planner's report.
Make that motion.
Is moved by
I'll
Warden Albright,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor Digdon. Any questions? Seeing none? I'm sorry. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Deputy. Just an observation. I was in the area yesterday, and I see a lot of construction going on there now. I don't know if it's exactly that property or not, but would there be construction allowed before this is all approved?
That's a good question. CEO Muse?
I think the proper way to answer that is if the construction had to do with something that was only allowed to be done on a residential zone, I would say the answer to that question would be no. If there are if there was construction initiated there, let's say, a driveway or those things, those would be allowed in either zone. So I think that in some cases, it really depends on the context of the question.
If I may, it was excavation equipment,
Okay.
and I don't know, maybe Counselor Digdon would have information there, I don't know. But anyhow, just an observation, just curious how that works.
The only way I'm not familiar with it, so I can't speak specifically to the details. Perhaps Councillor Digdon could. But most certainly, there would be some things that would be allowed in both zones. Doing it prior to receiving this approval may or may not be an issue, depending on what they are doing. It's certainly something that we, as a municipality, can investigate if need be. We'll get information, a little bit more information on that. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Through you, Deputy Warden, the owners of that land have put in a driveway. So far, there's been no other work. There's been some excavation work, but there's been no building or anything taking place as of yet. But they've just wanted to put in a driveway and clean up that parcel of land that they're looking at getting rezoned. Thank you.
CEO Muse?
Through you, I forgot to mention, I think this is important to mention in support of Renee's department, is that if a permit would have been required to come from us that related to construction that was inconsistent with the zone, it would not have been approved. So until the zoning and the appeal periods and all that go by, no building permit coming from us would have been approved. Now, that doesn't mean that the Department of Transportation wouldn't issue a permit for a driveway, or somebody else like Nova Scotia Power might issue a permit for power, for instance. But in terms of what we do in terms of land use regulations, that would be how we would deal with that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, there's a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8B, presentation of final multi-use trail reports, Tuscan and Plymouth. CEO Muse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The suggested motion on this is to adopt both trail reports for Tuscan and Plymouth as presented. I will say that that suggested motion is certainly an option to council. In particular, I think what's important, especially what happened at the last meeting around the motion made and approved to accept the Plymouth multi-use trail as the application for funding, that it would be absolutely appropriate to adopt at least the Plymouth report as presented. Staff doesn't have any concerns with that as presented. It says adopt for a reason, it's not accept. Accepting is to suggest that you have approved it. It's actually done by a third-party organization, so it's appropriate not to approve, but to accept or adopt. On the question of the Tuscan multi-use trail, you do have more options there. So, staff did raise this, and I think you may share in this concern that the cost of doing that particular job seems a little steep. And that's not a criticism of the work, it's the reality that we face right now. And so another option, if council wished to consider that, would be it doesn't have to adopt the Tuscan report at this time. It could, as another option, inform staff to go back to EXP, which was the author of the document, to see if there are ways where the construction could be tailored or amended such to reduce the cost. If that is in fact a concern of this council, that suggested motion is a little it's not as accurate as it could be. So, you know, both reports have been done by engineers, and, you know, they've been done at varying levels. I think the Plymouth option is clearly more economical, and I think probably more ready to go, right? So that's an administrative statement. This is not a political statement. You've made that statement last meeting. So it is more shovel-ready, and we all know what that means around application for funding. You know, I guess my alteration to the suggestion would be, and this is entirely up to you to debate whether or not you want to adopt the Tuscan one now, or whether you want to say, hey, staff, can you go back to EXP and ask them to sharpen their pencil a little bit, because that particular report isn't, it's far more difficult for staff to recommend going forward with that one, knowing that even if we get funding, our percentage is very high. And so outside of a political motion that says, you know, cost is not our decision, the decision is to move forward on that one, that is council's decision, not a staff decision. Our position would be that we may have room here to talk about phasing. There's all sorts of ways that you can look at a multi-use path differently. And with your permission, which would have to be done by motion, we could go back to EXP, knowing full well, and I'm being very clear about this, it would probably cost you a little bit more money to get a little bit more consultation on this. So that is another option that you have on the Tuscan pathway. So I don't want to repeat. In summary, the Plymouth one certainly suggested motion, considering what you made, the decision you made last time. Tuscan, you don't have to rush. You can do nothing. You can tell us to do more work, or you can certainly adopt that recommendation as presented as well. So that's my small presentation around these two documents. Again, not prepared by us, prepared by a third party, and those are my thoughts on those two. And at this point, it's up to council what it wishes to do.
Council Boudreau.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My way of thinking is we should keep looking at Tuscan. Just my concerns are for the safety of the kids or the students. I guess they're not kids anymore, they're students. But I think we should keep looking at ways we could potentially find a way to finance this and, like you mentioned, work it in phases. So that's my recommendation. That's my 10 cents or, yeah, thanks.
Councilor Warden Albright.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I agree with Councillor Boudreau. I think we all understand and we all recognize the fact that both of these pathways are important. They're both about safety. They're both about safety of students. I think what we said at the last meeting was that the Plymouth one is ready. It's more ready to go. So maybe it would be the right decision to dig a little deeper on the Tuscan one. I know there is already some existing sidewalk in Tuscan. Maybe we could, not necessarily continue it all the way. I don't know. I know that the number for that one is extremely high. And if we are going to adopt both of these reports, and I know we're looking at the Plymouth one, but the chances of getting funding for both at this point, I feel it's probably not going to happen. So are we going to sacrifice both, or will we work on the one that we're most likely to get some financing for now? And then I like the phased approach possibly. If there's nothing else that EXP can do to make it more affordable, maybe it is a phased approach. So I feel the same thing. It still needs a little bit of work. We don't feel as solid on that one as we do on the Plymouth one. And if we feel solid on the Plymouth one, then I feel like we should move forward on that one and continue digging. Thank you.
Councilor Surratt.
Yeah, thank you. I'm in agreement. I think the motion has to be changed because I also feel that we could move ahead with the motion in Plymouth. But the motion for the Tuscan AT, I like the idea of staff going back and just seeing if we can reshake some of those numbers and just see what are some other options. So that would be my suggestion. We make two different motions, with the Tuscan one, not letting it go, but just seeing what else we can do with that proposal.
So, any other questions? So we haven't made a motion, but the suggested motion here, we could possibly have a choice between two motions, am I not correct here? CEO Muse?
Yes, you're correct. In each case, you could make a variety of decisions. You could choose to not adopt, you could choose to ask us to dig in deeper, and you could certainly choose to adopt as is, each of them. And so each of them, I think, you should consider separately in a separate motion. Because it sounds like you're looking at them quite differently, and accurately so, I might add, because they are very different projects.
So could we have rewording for these two motions?
I mean, I think the motion to adopt is clear. If the decision of council would be to, so let's say if Plymouth was to be adopted as presented, it would be a motion to adopt the final multi-use trail report for Plymouth as presented. If the rest of council agrees with the commentary, the other motion, the suggestion would be to, it's not to refuse the report, it's to ask staff for further clarity with the interest of impacting the cost of the construction. And so, you know, how you word that is your own wording, but it would be to instruct staff to perform that. But in that motion, if that's your motion, understand that you will be enabling us to do this on an item that you have not budgeted financially. There's no budget in there to, specifically for this item. We do have general budgeting for consultation that we might be able to impact. I don't know what the cost of it would be. We'd have to come back to let you know. But just so that you know, if you're going to ask us to do that, it comes with, most likely, an invoice that would have to be approved by you.
Thank you. Councillor, Warden Albright.
I would like to start things off, so I would like to make a motion to adopt the final multi-use trail report for Plymouth as presented.
Do we have a seconder? Moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a question for our CEO. Would, for the school, for the Tuscan Trail, would the provincial government, it's their school, would they be able to give us some funding on different phases for that multi-use trail?
CEO Muse.
I think the short answer is unlikely. The responsibility of multi-use trails financially are the primary responsibility of municipal government. If we obtained funding on either one of those, it would be done so, not because there's a school associated with it or any other provincial infrastructure. All of this would happen in the provincial right-of-way. So many of these, you know, not necessarily, but in most cases, when a sidewalk is constructed, it's actually constructed in the Department of Transportation's right-of-way, which is usually the ditch, right? So yeah, the school being an impact, I would say doubtful. It may improve the evaluation criteria to which when you make an application, they may say, oh, that's good, that's a tick on the box. And you know, I think your active transportation plan addresses that in the sense that that's why it chose those locations in the first place. I would say there's always the possibility, as it relates to Tuscan, because of the overpass, there may be some things there that the province of Nova Scotia and the municipality can discuss. Right now, there's no commitment, financial commitment from them that I can speak of.
Any further questions? Okay, there's the, Warden has a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, there's a second part to this. I'd like to add something before we move on forward to the Tuscan report here. I used to say that the safety of the school kids is primarily or more severe on the overpass. And that if this is going to be done in phases, maybe we should consider looking at that first. It's just an idea. So, any other debate on the Tuscan? Councilor Madden?
Thank you, Deputy. I haven't said a whole lot with regarding to the Plymouth or Tusca one, but I have been in conversation with Minister LeBlanc, and he is looking into doing something at the overpass. So nothing concrete, excuse the pun, but I'm hoping that they will kick in the overpass section of it that would speed up things on this end. So we're waiting to see.
I know being an overpass, you might have a great, arguing point. When it comes to Councilor Boudreau's suggestion with the province, I went down that avenue myself, and there's no funding. But on this case, there may be, because we're crossing a major highway, so. Any other questions? So do we want to make a motion for the Tuscan multi-use trail? Councilor Bourque?
I'd like to make the motion that we further look into the Tuscan Trail and overpass, I guess. So give staff leeway to go in to look to see for a better solution, cheaper solution, I guess.
Okay, he's moved by Councilor Bourque and seconded by Councilor Madden. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 8C, approval of Operation Reserve Budget 226-227. Again, this for CAO Muse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very quickly, so this is basically the last bit of approvals required for the budget. In order to establish the operating reserve figures, we have to first establish what the operating budget is going to do, so that you approved, and so we then made amendments to the reserve to make sure that it reflected the amount of money that was coming, either going to or coming from that reserve. You are anticipating a net cash outflow based on your operating budget. 1.35 million is the big number, and that has to do with funding the potential of a medical clinic if in fact that comes to fruition. And the second is the library in West Pubnico, the construction of which is well underway. So the monies that are to support that will come through the reserve. This is simply an indication of, okay, well, we're anticipating a reduction in our operating reserve by $1.58 million this year. Traditionally, it's always been lower than that, and I expect the same this year. But we want to budget on the higher end. I don't know if you have any questions at all about it. I can give you information on what the balance of that operating reserve is, if that's helpful to you. If you wish to know that, I can share that with you in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Otherwise, if you're comfortable,
I'd like to make a
motion.
motion to
Yeah,
approve the
there.
operating,
All right.
operating reserve budget for 2026.
There we go.
2027 fiscal year.
It is moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councilor Surratt. Any questions?
I have a
All
million.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So I have a million questions. No, never mind. You have 3.95 in equity, just
Okay.
FYI.
8D, June 226 meetings. We want to consolidate the 2 meetings together. I think we have found a date. There's going to be too many people absent. We need to make it one instead of two meetings. So we're looking for a motion to consolidate these two meetings.
I'd like to make a motion to consolidate the two meetings scheduled in June to June 25th, 2026.
Okay, it is moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Burke. Any questions?
That happens to be the date of the executive committee meeting. So you're essentially canceling your regular meeting and in favor of having it at the executive meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. For correspondence and information 9A. Correspondence from the Minister of the Department of Emergency Management. I believe Alain might have a brief explanation on this. It's kind of a heads up
Yep.
for what's coming.
Yeah, the initial correspondence, thank you, Mr. Chair, the original correspondence made it seem or suggest that by 2027, lots of things had to be decided, but the clarity is that by 2027, things had to start. So they didn't want to, I think they got off on the wrong foot around communication, around when these fire changes are to happen. More will come, but I think it's just this correspondence should be received by council, understanding that, okay, we don't have to do everything at once right now, so it's a bit of a breath. And yeah, it's giving us more time.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any questions on that? Seeing none, we will move to 9B, correspondence from Youth Wellness Network in exploring the community solutions for public accessibility recreation space. There's two letters coming from the Youth Wellness and the women. It's about what to do with the Mariners on Main drop-in center. Once it closes up, they'd like to keep it open. So I have a question, but I will wait to see if council has questions here. Councilor Surratt.
Thank you. The current building is owned by the town of Yarmouth, correct?
Yes.
That was my question.
Any other questions? So, we had this debate before this Mariners on Main, before we started funding the Mariners on Main. And what they're asking for is got nothing to do with the pool, am I correct? Yeah, so it would just be the basketball, volleyball, pickleball. That's me. Yeah. It would not compete with Mariner Center. Am I correct, CAMU?
Well, seeing as the Mariner Center doesn't have an interior gym, I think the issue is the gym. Mariner Center does have the exterior jump start facility that we help fund, that we got a significant donation for. It's hard, I don't know what to say, whether that would be in competition with that. I think knowing that it's owned by the town has some decisions to make as to what they want to use that facility for. And knowing that it's particularly for residents in the town, I think that they've taken the lead on addressing that. Much to, that makes sense. I think that it would be logical for the town to deal with their residential issues.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go to financial, we've got 9C. Councillor Foster.
Yes, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but they're building a new section of road in the Tuscot area. It's in the little road that connects Highway 3 to Highway 103. There's a storage building that used to be a garage or a mechanical repair shop, not too far away from there. I drove by the other day and there was 2 or 3 excavators that were in there smashing the alders and the bushes. And I came here looking for Rene Jedry to ask if he knew what was going on, and he wasn't here at the time. And he's obviously not here today. I was hoping to see him again this evening. But I'm wondering if anybody else has noticed and if they know what's going on. Okay, good.
Is this just past Tuscan Bridge you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's a pathway for the windmills.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like a road bed.
They have to. There's a lot of weight.
Okay, I see. So that's what it is.
That's what it is, yeah.
Okay, does anyone know a bit more detail, like?
Well, they are doing that on the Peth Road. They're going through, they're turning off at where you've said.
Yes.
Continuing, going straight to the Peth Road.
Okay,
And they're doing the same thing to the Peth Road to allow the machinery to be able to turn because they're 90-degree corners. And they're doing
okay,
the same in Wedgeport at the corner of the Black Pond Road and in the one, in the Highway 3.
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Because I knew people were gonna be asking me, because when stuff like that happens and you go to a social event, people always ask you what's going on.
Yeah.
So thank you.
To add to that, there's going to be 150 truckloads coming through this summer with the components. They're huge.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, 10, financial request. We have a whole bunch. 10A, District 1 grants, Counselor Madden. They're all for 700. There's 700, Abrams River Schoolhouse Society, Le Jardin des Petits, Theatre Sud West, Tuscan Cemetery, and Village Friends. There's a motion for 700 for each one of these items.
Deputy, I just have to add, if you open the, that letter, there's a district for Théâtre du Sud-Ouest missing on the original post.
Which one is that?
So if you open the attachment,
I did.
you'll see that district, number 4, District Théâtre Sud-Ouest is not in
Okay.
the original.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, sorry, social aid, my mistake. Sorry,
Okay.
social aid is not on there, so
Okay.
there are actually 6.
Okay.
So a few of those I am in conflict because of the social aid and the president of the club and Village Friends as well. Other than that, the rest of them, I will approve them or
So I will make a
so do the motion.
motion to approve that council community grant in the amount of $700 to the 6 different organizations that were listed here.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10B, which is my district, there's the Association des Clermont de Villers Fitzgerald Harrison Jacquard. That is, Chantal was confused at one time, so I found out that that is the Roche Saint-Pierre, and this is the group of people that take care of it, so that clarifies what that is for. The Comoes Hill Little River Harbor Beach Committee, Comoes Hill Cemetery, Harbor Hill Community Hall, Plymouth Recreational Hall, Plymouth Cemetery, all 6 are there, and they're asking for $700. Someone make that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve council community grant in the amount of $700 to the organizations in District 2 that were just listed.
It was moved by Warden Albright,
I can second.
seconded by Councillor Surratt. 10C, District 3, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. That's too quick. It's trying to beat you, Rick.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I can tell.
10th, District 3, Councillor Boudreau. I think you have 6 as well. There is the Festival Acadia de Wedgeport, la Club des Acadia Seniors de Wedgeport, le Jardin des Petits Copains, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 155, Société d'Héritage Acadien de Wedgeport Saint-Michel, Associés des Centres Communautaires de Wedgeport.
I'd like to make, all right.
Councillor Boudreau.
I'd like to make the motion that the community grant in the amount of $700 be awarded to the 6 that were just listed.
Do we, moved by Councilor Boudreau, seconded by Warden Albright. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 10D, District 4. Grants, Councilor Foster.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve $700 for each of the organizations that have requested funding, and the organizations are as such. Cimetière Sainte-Famille, that is the cemetery at what used to be the church in Meros Hill. Hubbard's Point Community Association, that's for the community hall in Hubbard's Point. Parents Bas Seniors Club des Aînés, which is held at Twin Village Social Club in Meros Hill, and Twin Village Social Club, which is also in Meros Hill. So I move that those organizations' request for funding be approved. Thank you.
This is moved by Councilor Foster, seconded by Councilor Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10E, District 5, Warden Nicole Albright. There is four. The first one's 500, the Argyle Minor Soccer Club for 500, Belleville Friends Community Group 700, École Secondaire de Parents Comité École Consultatif 700, SAR New Horizon Club.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the council community grants for District 5 that were just previously listed.
Moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councilor Surratt.
Just want to note that there's one missing according to the attachment. Which one is it?
Yes, there is.
Club
des Audacieux.
Audacieux. Yeah,
Which one?
Club des Audacieux.
Club des Audacieux de Quinton for 700.
Okay, all right.
Thank
So
you.
now it's listed. Yeah. So do we have a second? Yeah, go ahead. Councilor Madden, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 10F, District 6, Councilor LeBlanc's district. There is 4, and they're all for $700. It's the restoration of the Argyle Historic Church Committee, Green Grove Cemetery Association, Mount Pleasant Cemetery, New Horizon Seaside Park Association.
So move.
It is moved by Councillor Digdon, seconded by Councillor Madden. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 10G, District 7, Councillor Bork. We have 3, East Side Community Center, Laurel Hill Cemetery, Ladies Auxiliary of East Pumlico Fire Department, all 3 for $700.
I have a conflict with the East Side Community Center. I'm on the board there.
Will someone make that motion? It is moved by Councillor Surratt,
Second.
seconded by Warden Albright. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 10H, District 9, Councillor Surratt. We have 3, and they're all for 700. Le Réveil de Pumco, Pumlico Dog Park Association, le Village Historique Acadien de la Nouvelle-Écosse.
I'll make that motion.
It
Second.
is moved by Councillor Surratt, seconded by Councillor Book. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, with 10J, Rip Fest sponsorship. This was deferred from last week because we wanted a little bit more information.
Was the original request? 2,500. Okay.
I can't access the, I can't open the attachment.
I can. Do you want to see mine? Sure, but do
And do you guys see all the breakdown?
Yep.
Yeah.
Councillor Warden Albright.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Rib Fest sponsorship for $2,500.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Digdon. Any questions? Councillor Surratt.
Thank you. It's just curiosity, river fees, do the people who come pay? I don't know how that works. Like, how does Rib Fest work? Does anybody know how that works? What does river fees mean? The rib people,
Oh, River.
river
revenue.
fees, 20,000.
CO Muse.
I presume you're referring to the expense,
It's a revenue.
or is it a revenue?
The revenue, 20,000.
Oh, okay, yes, right, okay, so my understanding of that is that, you know, the Ribbers, which is the
Sellers.
food sellers, pay a fee to be there, and of course, they recover that and hopefully a lot more in their sales. So the Rib Fest allows that, the opportunity for them to attend, but they have to pay the Rotary Club. Yeah. That's my understanding.
Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Deputy. So this request comes after we've made our deliberation for grants to organizations, and it always seems to cause a conversation. So in the future, could these people be reminded to come at the due date, April 15th? Is it something that we can ask them, or? Because we seem to be getting these after the fact, and we say that's, our budget is done, but now we're going backwards as far as I'm concerned. So it is a lot more information than the last previous meeting where they just asked for money, so I thank them for that. I still have some questions of how they are financed. And some of them, if you see the thank you package attachment, it's list of sponsors. Graves, of course, the big one, and then there's RibFest partners, there's zone sponsors, which we are part of, and then there's day sponsors. So just a lot of still uncertainty how this runs, but I'm not going to expand too much on that. Just information that people should know how it is done, and we can proceed, I guess. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think there's a difference here between like sponsorship and grant, and I think that's where there might be a differing perspective on what they're actually asking for. I know that this organization has applied for funding under our grants to orgs in the past. They didn't this time, I can confirm that, and I think it's because, you know, their position is that it's a sponsorship opportunity and not a grant opportunity. I think it's worthwhile to have a conversation with them around expectations moving forward. The Municipality of Argyle has been a funder for this for, I want to say, if it approves this one, will be 4 years. And we share a zone sponsor with Claire because, you know, predominantly because it's Acadian Day. I can confirm that the town and municipality do fund, but they have not funded to the extent that we have up until this point. They may choose to do so this year. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is kind of a broader question around some of these applications and whether or not they should be considered to be grants or sponsors. And I think there's work that we can do on our end to clarify that for people. Because to Councillor Madden's point, you know, if you consider this a grant request, it's late. But if it's a sponsorship request, it goes in a different bucket. I can assure you that the budget did include this number. So we're not asking you to break the budget. It is included in the budget you approved. that is not to suggest that you have to make a decision in the positive here today. I'm just illustrating the fact that you do have it in your budget, so you're not asking for us to get the money from somewhere else other than operations. I hope that helps.
Councillor Surratt.
Thank you. Just kind of hanging on to a statement you just made where the municipality of Argyle and Clare seem to donate more than the town and municipality of Yarmouth. And when I'm looking at that last attachment where the money goes back out into community, not saying that there are not municipality of Argyle residents who use the Yarmouth Food Bank or Fuel Bank or some of the other, but certainly when you look at the money that's given back to community, it's about 2,500 back to the municipality of Argyle, as opposed to quite a bit higher amounts to the rest town and municipality of Yarmouth. So it's interesting in terms of giving back to the community. If we give a bigger donation, I feel that we should also receive more coming back to community.
Good point. Thank you.
If council wishes, we can make that clear to them. That may influence ultimately how they disperse. They never know what the profit is gonna be, but they do anticipate that they will make money, and that's why they give back. They gave back, I believe, 3,000 last year, and I don't know what that number is this year. So I think it's West Improvement Society, Drumlin,
Argyle Food Bank.
and Argyle Food Bank. So the total is 3
Okay.
for Argyle. So they gave more than what we provided, but you're quite right in observing the fact that there are quite a few additional contributions to the area that the municipalities have not supported as much as we. And that's a factual statement.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we are down to 11, agenda topics for next meeting and notice of motion by councilors. Seeing none? Question period, any questions?
Yes. There is one. We'll write it out as well. But the question was, is the next step for the Plymouth Trail to go to tender? If so, when will that occur? So the answer that I'm typing up on your behalf is as follows. The next step is to submit an expression of interest. So that's the next step. We'll be doing that in days. And there is currently a federal open application available. Expression of interest is not a full-on application. It is quite literally, hey, we're interested in participating. The percentage of funding, all those things are not necessarily determined at this time. If the federal government gives us the go-ahead to apply, I don't know how it makes that decision, but it applies some sort of criteria and says, okay, well, yeah, this, yes, okay, you can apply, or not. They might say no. But presuming they'll say yes, we would then make the application before the deadline. They'll give us instruction how to do that. If in fact that particular application was approved, it would then come back to council because council would have to confirm its percentage. So you may apply for 80% funding on this and are more than comfortable and have made a motion to support 20% of the project. But if the application comes back and says, we're going to fund you for 70%, well, you actually haven't made the decision to fund the additional 10. So then that would have to be presented to council for decision. And what decision is made there is up to you. If everything is fine, we would then go to tender at that time. So when does the tender occur would depend on whether an application was accepted. Ideally, it would be great if we could go to tender next in the winter, like if we were successful, that we could go into tender in the winter, because that's always the best time to do a tender is in the winter before all of the businesses come to play. That would be an ideal situation for us. I don't think we could do it any earlier than next winter. However, none of that timing is dependent on us. It's all dependent on the funding. Of course, then after the tender occurs, then there's the award, and the award will come in either within budget or outside of budget. If it's within budget and the qualifications happen, it's most likely going to be a go project. If the budget is overdrawn, council has to approve that overdraw. Just because a project has been tendered higher than budget doesn't mean that you can't accept it. It means you have to make a decision whether or not you want to accept it or not, and that will depend on how badly the budget had been busted. In many cases, if a budget is 15% within your budget line, is generally speaking, the general rule of thumb is that is acceptable under procurement standards and under tender. When you go to tender, you have to follow the rules of tender. So that's pretty much how it will go. The timing is really unknown. Ideally, though, if we got an approval in the fall of this year, it would be not impossible to go out to tender in the winter, not impossible to go, and if the tender was awarded, to begin construction next year on the Plymouth Multi-Trail. That's the best answer I can provide. A lot of uncertainty there, though.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Councilor Surratt.
Yeah, just thinking about the last provincial budget and the cuts that were made to some of the funding streams, do we know if this is one of the funding streams that was cut?
This is a federal funding stream, so the answer is absolutely not. It's still, actually, this is a Building Canada Strong Fund, I believe. It was a newly minted program by Prime Minister Carney, was announced recently. This is not the only funding avenue for active transportation. Active transportation falls into this. However, there is an actual active transportation federal funding program which was not cut. And so, I don't know what the provincial funding will be on these things, but I suspect it'll be a very small piece of any of this project. This will be federally funded if it's funded.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to 13 in camera. We have none. In 14, we move to adjourn.